Vamos mudar de posição! Me dê cobertura!
I knew nothing resembling good times lay beyond that gate, but I was gonna have to face the music sooner or later. They had their body armor, I had mine. I guess our little stunt helped some other civic-minded people raise valid concerns about community relations. Their faces said it all. I was on their side, but how could they know that? If they came through that door, I'd be leaving as a human shield and never leaving at all. Luckily for me, for once the police arrived just in time. It sounded like all hell was breaking loose. Whatever nonsense De Silva had pulled, it seemed to be working. The last few prisoners were trapped in here, and more presently, it seemed I was too. The security switch had to be in that booth. Special Forces painkillers. That kid had the right idea. There was no point bouncing bullets off that thing. I decided I'd try to pick up where he left off. And then immediately regretted that decision. Well, wasn't this nice? The perfect end to a perfect trip. If someone had told me 6 months ago this was where my life was headed, I'd have ordered a double of whatever they were drinking, drunk it, then blown my head off. Any time the prison riot had bought me was starting to run out. I had to keep moving. Another dark, rainy night. Another police station. Another futile crusade for amends. Time moves forward, and nothing changes. Every bastard in the joint must have known I was on the loose by now. I couldn't afford to waste any more time. Figured I'd bag those up for evidence. Police food, the same crap the world over. But I could reminisce about the old days later. For now, there was more pressing matters to deal with.
Elimine o alvo dele!
It looked like the prisoners were giving them a run for their money. That's what happens when you hand some roided-up halfwit a commando uniform with special on the front and let him ride around his hometown in a tank playing soldiers. Sooner or later, someone's going to decide he's not so special. There were a bunch more in the elevator, tooled up like they were about to roll into Fallujah. And of course, they were headed my way.
Mega especial!
If the heat was rising, that meant I was getting closer to the source. I had to keep moving. Luckily, I wasn't the only cop with a pill problem. I saw the elevator doors were open. If there was one thing I learned since being in Sao Paulo, it was that me and the local elevators were not a good mix. Whatever depressing fate lay on the other side of those doors, there was no point in putting it off any longer. killed more cops than cholesterol, and still no sign of Becker. It wasn't the first time it dawned on me I should probably have gone over the plan in more detail, but it was too late for that now. AUP. Those were the guys who jumped the yacht in Panama. And what was this? Had the Brazilian cops tipped them off about the money? If I didn't hurry, Becker would be long gone. But the only friend Sao Paulo's own David and Goliath. I'd pinned De Silva as a coward, but he'd risked more than anyone, and he'd never taken a bribe. I still didn't know how I'd gone from drinking myself numb in New Jersey to looting corpses in Brazil. But this was where I was, 5,000 miles from a home I couldn't go back to, on another suicide mission to clean up a mess that wasn't even mine. I'd spent my career dozing off in the briefing room. Now wasn't the time. The CS were all but out of business in Sao Paulo, and suddenly Becker and Victor looked like local heroes in the war on crime. They'd really gotten their money's worth outsourcing their problems onto me. My old pal Serrano. We'd both been unwitting clowns in this sorry circus. Part of me hoped he'd made it out of that hotel alive. I didn't recognize the guy. Maybe this was the new slum king De Silva had talked about. A throne never stays empty for long. Fame at last. It was no great surprise I'd made Ufe's most wanted list. I hadn't done much to improve the reputation of Americans abroad over the past few weeks, and there they were, my illustrious employers, 3 dead and still every chance I'd go 4 for 4. None of this was going to look good on the resume. And I was in good company. Howell Passos, sent up north to find a washed-up gringo who'd act tough and play dumb. Boy, did he ever deliver.
Mata o menino! Mata esse filho da puta! Tá estressado, vai pescar, porra! Me cobre aí, caralho! Tá na mira, pode vir todo mundo! Como eu! Pelotão, avançar! Vai! Entra aí! Peguei, cacete! Preciso de cobertura! eu atiro! Ele é um cara morto, porra!
It was starting to feel as if I'd never leave that place. Like one of those nightmares where you keep running and running only to discover you're chasing yourself. Nothing I was going to find in there could make a difference now. I had all the evidence I needed. Tear gas. This wasn't good. I needed to find a way out of that stairwell and fast.